These people are corrupt at the very top levels of ISKCON. And let me tell you, one individual who was not, and he was not in the top layer, and indeed he really had no position of, let's say, authority other than true spiritual authority, was my very good friend, Aindra Prabhu. And I'm sorry for going on about this, but I need to say this. This is something that my close devotees know about me, about my personal history, but that I've never said in public. Today, Aindra has become, especially now that he's no longer with us, kind of a celebrity in ISKCON circles. Everyone talks about Aindra Prabhu. He was so wonderful. Let's listen to his kirtans, etc., etc., etc. And this is something I've never stated publicly. I was his first karatala player when he was living in New York in the early 1980s. I knew Aindra intimately. He was one of my best friends before he left New York because he saw the corruption in the ISKCON temple there, which he and I talked about extensively. And he moved finally to Vrindavana, where he spent the rest of his life until he finally passed away, roughly 5, 6, 7 years ago. I forget when it was. But indeed, I was with Aindra in the early 1980s at the Brooklyn ISKCON temple when the other Prabhupada disciples and the leaders of the temple considered him to be kind of a nutty person. They didn't understand what a pure devotee was. Aindra was a pure devotee even back then. When I was a late teenager, 20 years old, and I would hang out with Aindra Prabhu all the time. And I remember when he created his first temple on wheels, I was with him. Probably no one knows this about Aindra, all the people who are Aindra fans. But how he started with his kirtan and bhajans was he bought an old truck that had doors that opened on the side, and he did this alone. He had very little help because, again, the leaders of the ISKCON temple just tolerated him. He created out of fiberglass beautiful facades that looked like the inside of a temple. He stuck them to the inside of these doors so that when they opened, they would now be on the side. Inside the truck, again, he made it look very beautiful. And what he would do, and I helped him with this, we would go to Jackson Heights, Queens, which was the Indian neighborhood in Queens. And he would park the truck right by the sidewalk, open it up, so that now people walking by would look and it would look like a temple. He would sit there with his harmonium. I would sit next to him with the karatalas. Other devotees would have, mridangam, maybe some more karatalas, etc. And we would do bhajan for hours in the Indian community. Maybe another devotee handing out information, etc., etc. And Aindra and I did this for maybe 1 or 2 years, something like that, until he finally left and went to India. So people don't know this when they speak about Aindra. Aindra was one of my best friends as a devotee. And indeed, I was his very first karatala player. Karatalas are the only Vedic instrument I know how to play. I can't play harmonium or mridangam. I play karatalas, but I play them very well. And I played my karatalas for Aindra for about 2 years. Until finally it got to the point where things got so bad in the Brooklyn temple that even Aindra decided to leave and to move to Vrindavana, to India. And it was after that that he began to become known by newer devotees. But again, I was there with him from the very beginning. And let me just say that I kept up with him. I understood. I knew, he was getting more and more famous all the time, and for good reason. I don't say this lightly. Again, anyone who's been with me for some time, you know I don't say such things lightly. From the moment I met Aindra as a youth, I recognized he was an absolutely pure devotee. And when he finally died the way that he did in Vrindavana, it devastated me, as it did anyone who loved him. It devastated me how he died in Vrindavana, why he died the way that he died. And let me tell you, for those of you who have listened to Aindra's bhajans on video, audio, etc., and who recognize the purity of this man, this pure force of bhakti, let me tell you that my friend Aindra lives on. He's alive through the International Sanatana Dharma Society. Aindra was my friend, and I will remember him always. And part of what I do is also dedicated to him. So that's ISKCON. That's my comment on ISKCON. If we had more Aindras in ISKCON, indeed, Aindras leading ISKCON, ISKCON would be a pure force again. In the meantime, we have the purity, the same purity here in the International Sanatana Dharma Society.